The book of Revelation is a vision from Jesus Christ, given to him by God the Father, which reveals what is going to happen before his return to establish the kingdom of God on earth. This fascinating book is also called the Apocalypse, from the Greek word that means revelation. This prophetic book is primarily written in a chronological style with occasional breaks for overviews of specific subjects. Revelation 12 is one of the overviews, providing a history stretching from the time before humans existed until the time just before Christ returned as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Revelation 12 begins with the statement, "Now a great sign appeared in heaven." The word sign comes from a Greek word, "sermion," meaning a sign, mark, token. An unusual occurrence transcending the common course of nature. The first great sign is a vision of a woman who gave birth to a child. The woman of the Apocalypse, described as being clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars, represents Old Testament Israel. In the Old Testament, God referred to his people as a woman who he had dressed in honor and splendor. The garland with 12 stars may be symbolic of the 12 tribes of Israel. Throughout Revelation 12, we know that the woman is repeatedly protected by God, especially as the time approaches for the kingdom of our God to be established on earth. In the New Testament, God's church is symbolized as a woman, and its members are likened to virgins and likened to Jerusalem above, which is called the mother of us all. Members of the church are described as a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, and as God's own special people. When Christ returns to earth, he's going to marry the church, which is called his wife in Revelation 19:7. The woman is also described as giving birth to a male child who was to rule all nations with rod of iron. Indeed, Jesus Christ was born into this nation. The verse continues, "And her child was caught up to God and his throne." The language here makes it clear that Jesus is the child in Revelation 12. Jesus is the one who is prophesied to strike the nations, and he himself will rule them with a rod of iron. He is also the one who, after his resurrection, was taken up in a cloud to heaven. The third symbol of Revelation 12, a great fiery red dragon, is described as having drawn a third of the stars of heavens and standing before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. A few verses later, this dragon is clearly identified as Satan. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. As for the dragon drawing a third of the stars of heaven, this reference apparently represents Satan, leading a third of the angels in a rebellion against God. Other verses show stars represents angels. The Bible also explains that Satan had been involved in a rebellion against God, in which he attempted to exalt his throne above the stars of God and be like the Most High. Satan then began his work at that serpent of old, the one who tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. Call the devil the Satan who deceives the whole world. If God has ministers of righteousness, Satan also has his servants, physical ministers and spirit beings who pass themselves off as righteous but incite human beings to sin. Jude further describes the fallen angels or demons as angels who did not keep their proper domain and who are now reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day.